Let's hope the Falcons don't blow a 20-3 lead with Michael Penix Jr. as their starting quarterback. Let's hope not for the Falcons' sake. Let's hope not. Hello, folks. Welcome to episode 9 of season 2 of the GOAT series. I'm your host, Jeremy Hadler, and today I'm going to be talking about the greatest Atlanta Falcons player in franchise history up to this point. I'm going to go into the rules like I always do with this monologue, as I always do right here on the script here, as I'm reading it forward here, like I always do. We choose 5 candidates who we think is the greatest Falcons player of all time in franchise history up to this point, like I mentioned before, not ranked whatsoever of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We choose 5 candidates, and the criteria we look for when we do this, when I have my guest on, when I do it myself, is we look at their accomplishments with the team, look at their tenure with the team, how they played with the team, stats with their franchise, how were they on and off the field. And I also do an honorable mention when we have guests on. They can also have honorable mention, but in this episode, we do not have a guest. So I will be doing the Falcons one by myself. But yes, so I have an honorable mention, and I will choose my ultimate Falcons GOAT at the end of the episode. So stay tuned for that. But let's get started here, folks, with the honorable mention. Honorable mention, this guy, nicknamed Mr. Falcon. Pretty good when your nickname is Mr. Falcon. You got to be up on that list. Played 11 seasons for the Falcons. That's Tommy Nobis, linebacker. One-time first-team All-Pro. One-time second-team All-Pro. 5-time Pro Bowler. Made the Falcons Ring of Honor. He has his number retired with the Falcons, number 60. As a linebacker, you're going to be making a lot of tackles, and you're going to be making a couple picks here and there. His stats, to give you some basis here, is he had over 1,688 total tackles, 12 interceptions, 13 fumble recoveries, 9.5 sacks. Now, this is when he played way back in the day, so stats are going to be a little bit off here and there, but those are stats for him. He was very athletic. He was a very athletic player, very intelligent, of high IQ on the field, and he had the ability to make great tackles when you, obviously you're going to make the normal tackle, but he would just bring down the guys if it was just like the best players in the game on offense. He would bring them down somehow by making those clutch tackles when you need a player to make that stop or make a tackle to not let them get the first down or get that touchdown. Tommy Nobis did that for the Atlanta Falcons. He did that with his strength and his agility, which was awesome to see that. Now, he also did great in pass coverage too as a linebacker, from defending against the run and going into pass coverage. So he was pretty good both sides. And the thing that really sticks out to me with Tommy Nobis is what I'm going to put him here for honorable mention is his leadership. His leadership was the heart of the Falcons defense for so many years. That has to get recognized to me. I want to put him here just because he deserves to be mentioned on here. He absolutely has to be mentioned on here. If you made it into the Falcons Ring of Honor, got your number retired by the Falcons, and it was the heart and soul of that Falcons defense for some years during his time with the Falcons for 11 seasons. So, got to give recognition where it is. So, I'm going to give it to Tommy Nobis right here as my honorable mention for the Atlanta Falcons. Next player on my list is Matt Ryan. Matty Ice, his nickname is. Played 13 seasons for the Atlanta Falcons. One-time MVP. And we all know what happened that year with the Atlanta Falcons. Especially the Falcon fans, they know very well.
10 in a row. Now second and goal. 319! We're done! Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl! Brady has his 5th! What a comeback!
So, yeah. Bit rough there for them. One-time offensive player, one-time first-team All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, one-time passer rating leader, one-time completion percentage leader. His stats, folks, he has 65.5 completion percentage, 59,735 passing yards, 367 passing TDs, 170 interceptions, 94.2 pass rating, 42 game-winning drives. The things that stick out to me with Matt Ryan, since I grew up watching him as a kid, he led his team to the playoffs multiple times, and they could never get the job done. They got one time to the Super Bowl, and again, we obviously know what happened there, the 28-3 choke to the New England. He can never get the job done, but he led his team to the playoffs. He's known for his strong arm, especially the passing yards, which really stops me because his passing yards would be outstanding compared to other quarterbacks that are better than him. He was very accurate too, very poised under pressure. He had that great calm demeanor, which I really liked about him, and he was clutch when he needed to be, except the Super Bowl. Again, in high-stakes situations, most of the time he was clutch, just unfortunate in the playoffs there. Again, the passing is what really sticks out to me, and he also has quick releases too, when he's throwing the ball and getting those yards, especially when he had another player that we're going to talk about very soon. And off the field, he was very active in the community. And I forgot to mention this about Tommy Novus. He was also very active in the community too. So that's two things that stick out to me with those two players. And Matt Bryant was fun to watch as a kid. Like, you just want to see what he was going to do in the game. And he was fun to watch. He really was. And just a good quarterback overall. Just unfortunate for what happened to him in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. He did a pretty good job, especially with the Atlanta Falcons. For staying there for 13 seasons. That's pretty good. And he won MVP too. So pretty good for him. Next player on my list is Michael Vick. Played 6 seasons for the Atlanta Falcons. 3-time Pro Bowler. His stats, folks. 53.8 completion percentage. 71 passing TDs. 52 interceptions. 75.7 passer rating. 11,505 passing yards. That doesn't sound great of the stats for passing quarterback-wise. But Michael Vick was not known for being a passing QB. He was known for his run. He was known for his speed, his athleticism, because he would outrush guys. And to give you a statistic about that, he has the most career rushing yards by a quarterback, which was 6,109 rushing yards, and the most single-season rushing yards, which was 1,039 in 2006 by a quarterback in NFL history. And we obviously all know what happened with Michael Vick at the end of his time with the Atlanta Falcons was the dogfighting incident, and he got cut by the Falcons, and he got to the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, I never got to watch him personally that much. I remember watching him as a Philadelphia Eagle in a uniform and watching him maybe for 1 or 2 seasons in an Atlanta Falcons uniform. But in today's game, if you want to compare him to someone, it's Lamar Jackson of his running, of his rushing, not the passing. Heck no. It was for a little bit with Lamar Jackson. But the rushing, that's how you compare it to today's game if you really want to compare someone of Michael Vick's game to somebody. Michael Vick was very fun to watch, especially how in Madden when you play him. Very good with rushing. Very good with rushing. So I want to give praise to him just because he helped the Falcons out a lot, and he was very fun to watch. Very fun to watch. I definitely think he deserves to be on the list for what he did with the Falcons in the 6 seasons. He went to the Pro Bowl 3 times, but he was pretty good, and he helped lead the team to the playoffs a couple times here and there, which I liked a lot. But I think Michael Vick definitely deserves praise for what he did in an Atlanta Falcon uniform. Now, off the field, again, not so great. Not so great for what we know. So, I'm going to put Michael Vick here just because I think he's a candidate. I think he's an absolute candidate. He has to get recognition here, though, for me. He has to get recognition here. Next player on the list is Roddy White. Played 11 seasons for the Falcons, 2-time first-team All-Pro, 3 second-team All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, 1-time NFL receptions leader, made the Atlanta Falcons Ring of Honor. His stats, folks, 808 receptions, 63 receiving TDs, 10,863 receiving yards, 10,882 total scrimmage yards. He was a Swiss Army knife to me because if you put him outside, he'd do good. Put him in the slot, he'd do good. Put him in receiver 2, receiver 1, receiver 3, he'd do good. He would excel in all of those positions that you put him in, and he was hard to cover a bit too. He was a great route runner. He was clutch when he needed to be, especially in the end zone when you had to make that game-winning touchdown. Had great, excellent hands to make that game-winning catch. And he was very quick, to jam those CBs and defensive backs and get that separation like Devontae Adams, if I'm going to compare to someone today of his game. A little bit of that Devontae Adams, where Devontae Adams is known for his great route running, and he had great separation. That's Roddy White. That's what he was known for, and he was very reliable. When you needed him, he was good. Now, he did not start fantastic when he started in his career in the NFL, but he adjusted and he got better. He got better and better, especially in the 11 seasons he was with the Atlanta Falcons, and he was a great blocker too. Great blocker. Roddy White, he definitely has to get praised. Like 11 seasons, like I mentioned with the other guys here, he lasted way longer than most receivers last in the NFL, especially with one team. And those total scrimmage yards and receiving yards, that's fantastic to see that. That really is. So I got to give praise to Roddy White right here. Next player on our list is Julio Jones. Julio Jones played 10 seasons for the Atlanta Falcons, 2-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, 2-time NFL receiving yards leader, 1-time receptions co-leader. His stats, folks, 12,896 receiving yards, 60 receiving TDs, 848 receptions, 13,014 total scrimmage yards. The things that really stick out to me about Julio Jones, and he was one of my favorite players growing up watching football because he would get over 1,000 yards for a season. He did that for 4 years straight in a row, and it was pretty awesome to watch. And his catching, another thing that really sticks out to me, he would just leap like he's a basketball player and just like almost go slam dunk on those CBs and just pull Randy Moss's, and he would just get that. He would catch that. He had great hands. He had just great catching ability to me, and he had great body control holding on to those balls. And when you need him to get that touchdown, he was right there. And Julio Jones, just one of the best players to see in Atlanta Falcons uniform as a kid. I really loved enjoying him, and he lasted pretty long. Again, 10 seasons, like right away, 10 seasons, that's pretty good. But what you saw with those stats, especially, half those time he got over 1,000 yards. And the Falcons trade heavily for Julio Jones in that 2011 NFL draft. They traded heavily for this guy, and he paid off for the Falcons. Obviously, he didn't get the Super Bowls like I mentioned before already, but he helped out. He helped the Falcons become contenders, especially with Matt Ryan, because he was Matt Ryan's go-to guy, and Julio Jones is just an amazing player. I really loved enjoying him, watching this guy, especially a lot. And he's bounced, especially the last couple of seasons, he's bounced around. But he was very fun. When you got to see him in Atlanta Falcons uniform, CBs feared him. Everyone feared him. If you were a cornerback or a defensive back and safety, they fear this guy, especially NFL teams. They fear this guy because this guy was capable of beating them out, breaking ankles, just beating them all out. And just fantastic to see that. Fantastic to see that. So Julio Jones, I got to give recognition here. He absolutely has to be on this list, like the other ones, but Julio Jones really sticks out to me here for that. All right. My last player here before I get to my Ultimate Falcons go. This guy, everyone should know who this is, especially in the media. He coaches college football right now, especially for the Colorado Buffaloes. You should really know him that. Nicknamed Prime Time, Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders. Played 5 seasons for the Falcons. He's a Hall of Famer. 2-time first-team All-Pro. 1-time second-team All-Pro. 3-time Pro Bowler. 1-time kickoff return yards there. Made the Falcons Ring of Honor. Made the All-Rookie team. His stats, folks. 24 interceptions, 7 forced fumbles, 10 fumbles, 6 fumble recoveries, 238 combined tackles. In this time frame, what he did in Atlanta Falcons uniform was amazing. Now, obviously, you saw him go win the Super Bowls with the 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys, but he was amazing. He was what started the Atlanta Falcons. He brought hip-hop into the Atlanta Falcons for his famous thing back when Brett Favre played for the Falcons, too, for that 1 year, was too legit to quit. Too legit to quit.
Too legit. Too legit to quit.
Oh, too legit to quit.
Too legit. He made an L.
Too legit to quit, you know.
And that is something that has stuck out to me with Deion Sanders and Prime Time. I mean, this guy, he shut down receivers. He was full of talent. Very speedy guy. He had great hands, especially for getting his interceptions. And one bad thing I'll say about Deion Sanders was he could not tackle. He really couldn't tackle that great, but he overcame that. He really overcame that, and he would just beat guys out and just shut down the best receiver in the game. He really would. And it was fun watching the highlight tapes and just researching more about Deion Sanders with the Atlanta Falcons. In that 5 seasons, that's pretty good to see that. I really appreciate seeing him there. But Deion Sanders, I absolutely has to be on this list. He absolutely has to be on this list. Prime Time, I mean, it doesn't get better than that. Prime Time, I mean, 5 seasons, but then the 5 seasons that he did was pretty amazing to see that. And now we get to my Ultimate Falcons GOAT. It comes down to 3 players for me, guys. Deion Sanders, Julio Jones, and Matt Ryan. Julio Jones, very consistent. Matt Ryan played the most out of those 3 guys and was consistent. Ultimately did not get the job done in the Falcons franchise history by leading them to the Super Bowl and choking up in the playoffs like the Falcons did, especially during that Super Bowl time. Deion Sanders, he brought pop culture into it. He couldn't tackle, but he was very good in that short time frame he was with the Atlanta Falcons. So to me, I think it's Deion Sanders just because when I think of the Falcons player, I always think of the too legit to quit. I always think of that when the Falcons, and he really set the mark for the Falcons. Like he was like the Neanderthal for the Falcons of building it up for them, setting them, building a peak for them is what I'll say for the Atlanta Falcons during that time frame for the Atlanta Falcons with Deion Sanders. So to me, I think Deion Sanders is the greatest Falcons player of all time in franchise history. It's very close to me, but I think Deion Sanders just beats it by a hair. If it wasn't Deion, then I go to Julio Jones. But I think Deion Sanders gets it right here. I get the time frame wise, but what he did in that time frame, it's undeniable what you could do in the Atlanta Falcons uniform of being very consistent like Julio Jones, but doing it in a very short time frame and being one of the best players in your game at that position. So to me, I'm going to give it Deion Sanders right here as my ultimate Falcons GOAT. But that is it here, folks. Let me know what you think in the chat. Am I right? Am I wrong? Who do you think should have been a candidate? Who do you think should have been honorable mentioned? Let me hear your thoughts, guys. And we will still be continuing in the NFC South. Stay tuned for more episodes, ladies and gentlemen.